Hey YouTube, this is Steve from Average Joe's Fantasy Football, and we've got your Week 17 waiver wire video. It is championship week. Now, I will be doing videos for next week, just in case you guys do have some games next week. But realistically, most people are playing their championship this week. So that is, again, I'm going to make sure this is very clear. I will do videos next week, but I want to make sure you guys are ready for probably your championship this week. Now, Week 17 is here. There is a lot going on in the NFL. There's a lot of injuries, COVID. There's so much going on. This is why this video is so important for you. That way you guys are prepared to pick up some players that might end up winning you this week. All right, so I've got a long list. I wouldn't say super long, but there have obviously been things going on with injuries and COVID that have affected a lot of players, especially last week, and probably ended up maybe hurting you or maybe helping you out. So hopefully you guys were able to grab some players due to COVID last week as well. Now I want to kind of start off with the quarterback position. Now the first quarterback I want to talk about is going to be Carson Wentz. Now obviously no injuries there, which is great. Carson Wentz is available in 52% of most leagues. They're going against the Raiders, and the Raiders have struggled. I wouldn't say the worst, but they have struggled recently. And this is a game where I think Carson Wentz can get at least 2 touchdowns. He did really well last week against the Arizona Cardinals. And I think this is a team that is getting, really riding high and really hot into going into the playoffs, which is very important. Nobody's resting right now. There's a lot of teams that are still fighting for playoff spots, maybe seeding, different things like that. So that's awesome that, we don't have anybody that's just blown away the competition. That way everyone is able to play. But I do like Carson Wentz. Now, the other quarterback I want to mention is Trey Lance. Now, right now, Jimmy G is dealing with a torn ligament in his thumb. I think he even fractured a bit of his thumb. So right now, he's dealing with an injury that most likely will take him out Week 17 and possibly further. So Trey Lance is possibly a quarterback you might want to consider. Obviously, he's not a Jimmy G or he's not some of these other studs. So this is more for those super flex leagues that maybe you need a second quarterback to kind of help you out. Trey Lance is available in 88% of most leagues, and they're going against the Texans. Texans are a team that unfortunately has had some bad defensive games, can have some okay ones, but I think this is going to be a matchup that I think Trey Lance can kind of take advantage of and exploit. So again, this is really geared for super flex. You should have a good quarterback if you're in a regular, standard, or PPR league. But Superflex, I think Trey Lance is a good option to go after. Now, as far as running backs, I've got a lot of running backs here for you guys. There were a lot of injuries. And then, of course, there's COVID news going on. So I want to make sure you guys are prepared. Now, the first running back I want to talk about is Rex Burkhead. It's crazy because I actually had people ask about him last week with David Johnson being out due to COVID. Injury, and then now he's dealing with COVID. But Rex Burkhead was somebody I recommended because I felt really good about his matchup. And he's someone who is always very, very strong in a PPR league. He's available in 86% of most leagues. I think he had 28 points in fantasy last week. And then going to the 49ers, who defensively are a pretty good team. They're mediocre against the run, but they're a really good team that, unfortunately, with Trey Lance being in there, might be a closer game than we anticipate. So I do think the game script will help Burkhead, whether it be goal line work or, of course, with the reception. So I like Burkhead as a good flex, and we'll talk obviously about starting sits later this week, but he's somebody I would go after for sure. Another guy I've had in the past couple weeks, so he's not available as many like a Burkhead, but I like Rashaad Penny. Penny's got 30% availability in most leagues. He's going against the Lions, who, let's be real, the Lions are the Lions, and in the last 2 out of 3 games, he's had over 130 rushing yards. So if Seattle actually runs the ball properly and uses him, Penny is a steal right now. I actually ended up picking up in one of my leagues, and I put him as a flex play, and he is doing phenomenal. So again, Penny is somebody you might want to go after if he's available. Like I said, it's a very low percentage, but he is available in 30% of most leagues. Another running back I want to talk about, and he's again available in 24% of the leagues, is Devin Singletary. Singletary is actually being utilized properly. Finally, Buffalo decides, hey, let's run the ball. And they're winning. Weird combination, but it is happening for the Buffalo Bills. Devin Singletary is really the guy. They've actually did a healthy scratch on Breda. Moss came in there for a little bit. It's not necessarily that committee that it was for most of the season. I think Singletary's pretty much put himself as the RB1 for Buffalo. They're going against the Falcons, which is a really good matchup for them. The Falcons are near the bottom of the league against the run. So again, Singletary, if he's available, I would definitely go after him. Another running back, unfortunately, one of my leagues, this happened to me when we lost, is James Robinson getting hurt, right? With James Robinson getting hurt, you got Ogunbowale, That is hard to say for me, but the Patriots, they're going against the Patriots. He's available in 99% of most leagues. I'm not saying he's someone you absolutely have to go after. Here's the thing. Patriots are a really good defensive team. Now, sometimes they've not shown up 100% of the time, but they are a really good defensive unit. And again, Bill Belichick usually does a good job at stopping your best asset. Now, there's really not a lot of amazing assets for the Jacksonville Jaguars, but if one thing's I've learned from watching the Patriots is they stop the run, and they do a really good job at that. So I'm not saying he's somebody you will have to absolutely start, but he may be somebody you want to consider picking up, especially if you were a James Robinson owner. And it's unfortunate, but he is somebody I would consider as far as a waiver pickup. Now, another running back I would definitely pick up is Daryl Williams. Daryl Williams is going against the Bengals, who, again, bottom of the league when it comes to running against the run. He's available in 40% of most leagues. He's done a good job filling in for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but Edwards-Helaire is most likely out week 17. He might be back for week 18, but he's most likely out for week 17. Has not been ruled out, but I would definitely prepare for that. Daryl Williams is available in most leagues, so I would still go after him. Again, the matchup's going to be good. I think he'll get some, point per reception. And of course, he's going to get some goal line work with Clyde out. Gore might be a sneaky play, but I don't think Gore's going to really do anything for the Kansas City Chiefs. Another running back I would talk about with Miles Sanders being out is Boston Scott. Now, you could also go Jordan Howard. I'm leaning more towards Boston Scott, even though Howard got a little bit more touches prior to his injury last week. But Scott took advantage of it. He also got the goal line work. He ended up having 11 points in fantasy. So again, Boston Scott's somebody I'd go after. He's available in 85% of most leagues, and they're going against Washington, who is not playing well. They're dealing with COVID. They're dealing with injuries, and they're dealing with fighting each other on the sidelines. So definitely someone I would consider in possibly a flex or low RB2 play. Now, as far as receivers, I don't have as many, but I do have Amon-Ra St. Brown. I've mentioned him every single week, and yet he's still available in 31% of most leagues. He has consistently been the number one weapon for the Detroit Lions. And I get that a lot of people are uncertain. Even me last week, I wasn't sure I would even consider starting him based on the fact that you had Goff out, but that didn't matter. Boyd still did a great job of getting him the ball. He looked really good, and that really is, especially if you're in Dynasty, if you were able to get him, he might have been a steal for you. But they are going against the Seahawks, who again are middle of the pack defense. They've had some games here. I would say middle of the pack. I haven't looked at the final stats, but they were about 15th against the pass. So again, passing, I think this is going to be a game that, nobody really wants to watch, but I think it's going to be a good game for some fantasy points, especially with Penny, maybe Russell Wilson. Hopefully Goff is back. He should be cleared with COVID, but he should be back. Now, another wide receiver I want to talk about is Tyler Boyd. And this is a tough one. And the reason why I say that is Tyler Boyd with the Cincinnati Bengals, there are so many weapons for them. And Joe Burrow looked amazing against the Baltimore Ravens, but they are going against the Kansas City Chiefs, who do a better job at stopping the pass, to do a better job of getting to the quarterback, which will make it a little bit tougher for Burrow. But Tyler Boyd is available in 32% of most leagues. He's seen a lot of targets. He has been a sneaky play the last few weeks, especially as a flex player. So he's somebody I would consider possibly picking up. Now, you have to understand, all these players you're going to pick up, you have to think about your depth and, of course, injuries and COVID. So don't just pick up these players just because I mention it. Pick them up because it makes sense for your roster. Now, another receiver I want to talk about is going to be Marquez ValdesScantling. Here's the deal with Scantling right now. He was on COVID last week. He should be clearing that back up. He's available in 60% of most leagues. He is the wide receiver 2 for the Green Bay Packers, and this is going to be a big game against the Vikings. This is a game that they lost early in the season. They need to continue to win because obviously the first seed is very important for the NFC side. So I think this is going to be a game that it's going to end up being a shootout because the Vikings do allow a lot of passing yards to the quarterback and wide receiver. So I like Marquez ValdesScantling, so he's somebody I would definitely go after. Now, as far as tight ends go, the first guy I want to talk about is Foster Monroe. Now, if obviously Darren Waller is out still, Foster Monroe is a great pickup because the Colts actually really struggle against the tight end position. That's the one area they're very weak at. He's available in 88% of most leagues, so he's definitely a good streaming tight end play for this week. Now, obviously, if Waller does end up playing, Monroe means nothing to you, but he is somebody I would definitely consider, especially since Waller has been out, and he might actually be out again. So definitely go after him. The last tight end I want to mention is going to be Brevin Jordan. He's looked really good as a rookie this year for the Texans, and I think this is a good matchup for him against the 49ers. They're going to be playing catch-up, I think, against them, even though I do think that this game will be a little bit closer than most will think. He's available in 99% of most leagues. So again, if you need a tight end, especially with injuries, or again, if COVID happens to sneak in there, I would definitely consider him. Now, as far as some defensive special teams, 49ers are somebody that I would mention, again, against the Texans. Now, they're available in 22% of most leagues, so they may not be available in your league, but I would definitely consider picking them up. Another defensive special team I want to talk about is the Browns. Browns are actually going against the Steelers, who, let's be honest, the Steelers have struggled heavily. They cannot stop anybody right now, and they cannot score any. They're just struggling. Their offensive line is horrendous, which is causing Najee to struggle, causing Big Ben to get hit, and they're just not getting open. So I like them. They're available in 61% of most leagues. And the last special team, defensive team I want to talk about is the Dolphins. Dolphins did really well against the New Orleans Saints on Monday night. They're available in 37% of most leagues, and they're going against the Titans. Titans are getting a little bit of some COVID issues going right now. 2 of the receivers are out. Julio Jones is a big one that is out. Now, they still have A.J. Brown, and hopefully they keep him quarantined away from everybody else so he doesn't get it. But it's a good matchup for the Dolphins. They've looked really good. Their pass rush is really strong, and they've just been on fire lately. So they're another team I would definitely consider. So those are my Week 17 waiver wire pickups. I know it's a little bit longer than I would like to talk about, but there are a lot going on, so I want to make sure you guys are prepared and ready for this week. Again, it's championship week, so make sure you pay attention. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and that notification bell is on. That way you guys are notified every time we drop a video. We'll be dropping, obviously, our start sitting videos as well, so that way you guys are prepared. Also, if you enjoyed the content, make sure you hit the like button. It's greatly appreciated. You guys are so awesome. And again, make sure you pay attention. Our start sit videos will be dropping as well. And I'll catch you guys next time.